So over my last couple of Dragon Ball videos, we have been talking about the Dragon Balls themselves. In the first one, I reviewed their history and explained how they worked and functioned. In the second video, I went over all the dragons, how many wishes they could grant, how you call the dragon out, who made them, that kind of thing. So please go watch those videos as well, but in this video, I'm going to go over the final main note we need to touch upon when it comes to the Dragon Balls. How, when the Dragon Balls acquire too much energy, they actually create Shadow Dragons. The usual, trying to grow the channel. Please remember to hit that subscribe button if you would like. If not, please enjoy the video. Also, if you don't care about what led up to the Shadow Dragons and just want to hear about them themselves and me go over a description of each dragon, please skip to the time right about here, and you can skip over all the backstory. So to recap a little bit, one of the reasons the Dragon Balls disperse and turn into stone for 1 year after they are used, at least the Earth's Dragon Balls do, is so they can disperse the negative energy from granting wishes. This is necessary since the Dragon Ball goes against the natural order of things. The whole process takes about 300 years, and normally it isn't a problem since the Dragon Balls are so hard to find individually. It should take centuries to bring all of them together, thus giving them plenty of time to purify and release the negative energy slowly. And we learned all this from Elder Kai and GT, so this might just be canon to the GT timeline, but in that series, we do get to see what happens when you spam wishes on the Dragon Balls and the negative energy builds up. So by my count, the regular Dragon Balls of Earth were used for 12 wishes before GT. The dragon was summoned 9 times due to the dragon being upgraded to grant more than one wish. So prior to Bulma creating the Dragon Radar, the Dragon Balls of Earth were only used once that we know of. It was made at an unknown time by an unknown person to become a king. This wish had an overarching effect within the universe since it actually made him king of the entire planet, but we can assume that it was long enough ago that the negative energies had time to disperse. As a matter of fact, this wish probably happened soon after Kami originally made a set of Dragon Balls and is the reason they are spread out throughout the earth when we come looking for them in the original Dragon Ball series. So the following wishes after that one are Oolong wishes for panties, Goku wished for Upa's dad, Bora, to be brought back to life, King Piccolo wishes for his youth to be restored, Yamcha wishes for everyone killed by Piccolo to be brought back to life. Master Roshi wishes for Goku to be brought back for life. Mr. Popo wishes for everyone killed by Frieza and its henchmen to be brought back to life. After this, the dragon gets upgraded by Dende to be able to grant at least 2 wishes, and Yamcha wishes for everyone killed by Cell to be brought back to life. Krillin wishes for the bombs in 17 and 18 to be removed. Bulma and Yamcha wish for everyone Vegeta killed at the World's Martial Arts Tournament to be brought back to life. Also, side note, this wish is actually not the Dragon Ball wiki page for Earth's Dragon wishes, so if anyone wants to edit this, please do it. They only use 1 wish here, so I think they just kind of forgot that the dragon could do 2 wishes. And finally, Bulma wishes for everyone killed by Boo to be brought back, and all memories of Boo to be removed from everyone except the Z Fighters, allowing him to live a normal life. So with all of these wishes being made so close together, the Dragon Balls couldn't disperse their energies and actually ended up cracking. So the next time that they tried to use them, instead of regular Shenron coming out, we ended up with Black Smoke Shenron. And after goading, he would eat the rest of the Dragon Balls, then disperse them across the planet, thus releasing all of the Shadow Dragons. So 7 dragons were released in total, 1 per Dragon Ball. They all have different appearances and abilities, and their power levels and personalities are sort of tied to the wishes that create each one of them, or I think a better statement would be the summoning of the Eternal Dragon, since some of them correspond with 2 wishes. Also, another thing to know, the number of the Dragon Balls doesn't correspond with the strength. And the only way to purify the Dragon Balls is to defeat the Shadow Dragon, or apparently to swallow it if you're Goku. I mean, I don't know, come up like MacGuffins, I guess. I really don't know how that worked. But now that all is finally out of the way, let's get into the actual Shadow Dragon. So in order of appearance, there is Haze Shenron. Born from the 2-star Dragon Ball, he is the result of the wish to bring Bora, Hoopa's dad, back to life. In appearance, he resembles a frog mixed with a dinosaur. He has green skin, yellow eyes, a purple tongue, and is very spiky with the Dragon Ball on his forehead. Even though he is very durable physically, he is the weakest of the dragons, but in reality, he doesn't really need to be strong. He just has to outlast his opponent so his poisons can take effect on them. Basically, he constantly emits pollution that slowly weakens his opponent until he can defeat them, basically bringing them down to his level, but clear away all of the poisonous air or into the polluted water, and he is easily defeated, which is what Goku and Pan did, ultimately blasting him away with a combined Kamehameha. The second is actually Rage Shenron, born from the 5-star Dragon Ball and the wish made by Roshi to bring Goku back to life to fight the Saiyans. He looks like a pterosaur, but doesn't have wings. Instead, he has full arms and legs and has dark red skin, and his Dragon Ball is in his stomach. He is also very small, not even reaching up to Pan's knees, which you would think would actually make him the weakest, but he doesn't stay this small for long. See, Rage's ability is this electrical slime substance that he secretes. This substance has a few uses. It can negate ki, or energy-based attacks due to its electrical properties. It can actually absorb energy from someone if they are attacked by it, and really just electricity in general. It can also redirect energy attacks back at attackers, and finally, if things don't go well for him, he can absorb all of it into himself, and that actually allows him to grow to an enormous size. But realistically, it is a pretty broken power, except it is also weak to water. Since it is electric based, if the slime gets wet, it short circuits, thus damaging Rage Shenron and burning up all of his slime. And without the slime, he pretty much stands no chance in any fight, which is ultimately how he was defeated. It's kind of interesting how the first two dragons' real weakness is just cleanliness. The third dragon is Oceanus Shenron. Born from the 6-star Dragon Ball and Oolong's wish for panties, a fact that Oceanus is very aware of and seems to be pretty self-conscious about, since she says, and I quote, "I am very aware of the stupid, inane wish that gave me life, but don't even think for a second that you can laugh at me and not suffer the consequences." Oceanus is actually sort of interesting when it comes to their form. Looking like a young woman with teal skin, long navy blue hair, no shoes, but wearing a long ocean blue dress. She wears a lot of jewelry and has the 6-star Dragon Ball on her forehead. So compared to the last two dragons, not all that out of the ordinary. As a matter of fact, when we first meet her, they are actually giving a village fish and being worshipped as a god by the people. But they are doing this by using their powers to control the wind and water. Unfortunately, this has the side effect of putting a bunch of people out of business. Now, controlling these two things is definitely what makes them more powerful than the other two dragons. I mean, her power set is the actual counter to the first two dragons, like we talked about. Unfortunately for them, though their technique is powerful, especially since most of the fighting in Dragon Ball happens in the air, it requires a lot of focus and revolves around a center point in the middle, sort of like the Eye of the Storm. Thus, by staying in the center, it will have no real effect. This is what Pan and Goku did to ultimately defeat them, but they actually don't just use their wind abilities for fighting. They can also use them to change their appearance, with their actual appearance being a large teal gargoyle with the Dragon Ball in their chin. They also say no one has seen this form and lived, implying maybe they became self-conscious about the form and just kind of chose to conceal it, but we never really find that out. Fourth, we have Naturon Shenron, born from the 7-star Dragon Ball and the wish by Bulma and Yamcha to bring everyone killed at the World's Martial Arts Tournament. Like Oceanus Shenron, Naturon Shenron has multiple forms, though in this case it is less of a choice and more of a side effect of his absorption ability. Basically, his natural form is actually just his Dragon Ball, with the form being generated from it looking like a big mole with a pig snout, small horns on his head, pink claws, and the 7-star ball on his forehead. I think this is primarily because, unlike the other dragons, he can revert back to his ball form. Maybe they can all do it, but he's the only one we actually see do it. And his main ability is that he can absorb other beings and take on their abilities in order to get stronger. But like, he doesn't take on any of their attributes. He just evolves the form he can generate around himself from the Dragon Ball. So in the form he is in when we first meet him, he absorbed a mole, thus turning him into a giant purple mole-looking creature with the Dragon Ball in the middle of his forehead. Since in this form he uses an earth-based attack called Aftershock that Omega Shenron also uses, we can sort of assume that he either retains the ability gained from the being he absorbed, but that would mean that the mole was able to use that attack, which seems a little far-fetched, even for Dragon Ball. Then again, there is also now apparently Super Saiyan ants, so honestly, who knows? Although he doesn't go after any humans, stating that this was just a holdover until he found an even stronger being to absorb. And theoretically, any human would have been stronger than a mole, so maybe actually the mole could use energy-based attacks. I don't know, this one was kind of weird. But one thing we do find out is that he has to eject the previous being he absorbs, or revert all the way back to his Dragon Ball, or at a minimum his natural form, to absorb someone else. This is the technique's ultimate weakness, and the one Goku ultimately uses to defeat the dragon after he absorbed Pan, and took on the final form we see him in, resembling a giant bluish-green mole dragon with large fins protruding from his neck, 2 tails, yellow eyes, a much more reptilian jaw and teeth, and his claws and horns turn red. But in this form, he does have access to all of Pan's abilities, like Ki and Flight. But once Goku manages to get him to let Pan go, going him into a false sense of security and allowing Pan to come to the surface, I forgot to mention, while he has you absorbed, you are very much conscious of everything he is doing. Goku essentially snatches her out of him, but he really doesn't even stand a chance against Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Goku just couldn't kill him because Pan was inside of him. So now, the final 3 dragons all sort of blend their stories together and sort of ability-wise, so I'm just going to go ahead and tackle this as best I can. 5th, we have Nova Shenron. Born from the 4-star Dragon Ball and the wish King Piccolo used to restore his youth, he is also the twin brother of the 6th dragon we meet, Ice Shenron, who was born from the 3-star Dragon Ball and the wish to erase everyone's memories of Majin Buu. And how 2 dragons born from wishes that were made many years apart and are connected to 2 different Dragon Balls can be twins is kind of beyond me. I also don't think it is ever truly explained in the series, so real talk, I think the writers were just getting lazy and didn't want to come up with any more dragons before getting to the end. So in appearance, Nova looks like a red reptilian person with a sleek muscular build and a pair of dragon wings on his back, and the 4-star Dragon Ball is located in his left palm. We find out during his fight with Goku that this is just what he looks like in his restrained form, and when he unleashes his true form, his body becomes golden. Now, as his name would imply, a lot of Nova's kit revolves around heat-based attacks. For instance, we find out during his battle with Goku that he can increase his body temperature, thus burning anyone who makes physical contact with him. So an opponent should only use Ki attacks against him to avoid taking damage. And since Nova is the first dragon we meet who can actually use martial arts, as well as the fact that he is fast enough to keep up with a Super Saiyan 4 Goku, it would definitely take some damage. Although to hit him with one of your Ki attacks, you would have to get around his main offensive attack. See, he can generate a lens that absorbs the sun's heat. He can then fire a small heat wave into the lens and it would be magnified, and since this attack is technically absorbing heat from the sun, it will never run out of energy. He can also use the disc as a weapon, controlling its size and movement. This dragon is probably the 3rd most broken kit out of any of the dragons, but like the other dragons, it is offset by a couple of things. Starting with, he has a strong sense of loyalty and fairness, wanting nothing more than to have a fair fight, to the point of his own detriment. For instance, though he probably is stronger than Ice, he refuses to fight him or help him when he needs it. But also, his attack revolves around a lens, which can work both ways. Fire your own light or heat attack into the front of it, and it will fire back at him, like Goku did with a solar flare. Unlike the other dragons, we actually don't know what Goku would have done to ultimately defeat him, since he was killed ultimately and absorbed by Sin Shenron. Ice Shenron has a lot in common with his brother, except that where Nova is pretty honorable, Ice is not. So for starters, Ice looks just like his twin brother, except he is blue, and like Nova, he has 2 forms, a restrained form made out of an ice shell and a natural form, as well as the 3-star Dragon Ball is located in his right palm. Also, like his name would imply, his moveset primarily revolves around ice. He can freeze his surroundings or his opponents using his ice eye beams. His ice is actually strong enough to restrain a Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Also, more than likely, if you touch him, this would also damage you, but we don't really see this in the show. But he is also as fast as his brother and just as capable of martial arts. But at the end of the day, it's still ice, and if you heat it enough, it will melt, which is what Nova does to free Goku. Now, unlike his brother, Ice is not afraid to use underhanded tactics, like when he was overwhelmed by Goku physically, and Goku was about to kill him, he used Pan as a shield. And when Goku got the better of him, he begged for his life and help from his brother, and when Goku let his guard down, he blinded him. Unfortunately for Ice, he is also not as physically durable as his brother, with Goku managing to punch him straight through the stomach, and then finishing him off with a Dragon Fist. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I say he's not as durable as Nova because we actually see Goku hit Nova, but I don't think we actually see Goku make real contact when Nova wasn't expecting it. So it's actually entirely possible, I guess, that he is just as durable as Nova. It's just that his Goku put all of his might into that Dragon Fist. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Finally, we have the 7th dragon, Sin Shenron. Born from the 1-star Dragon Ball and the wish made by Mr. Popo to revive everyone on Namek that was killed at the hands of Frieza and his soldiers. In appearance, like the last 2 dragons, he is actually really humanoid, though really large and muscular with spikes all over his body and the 1-star Dragon Ball in his forehead. When we first meet Sin, he surprises and attacks Goku and kills Nova, and throughout the fight with SSJ4 Goku, he dominates the fight, though admittedly, this is after Goku fought 2 other dragons and was blind. But we never see him use any special abilities throughout the fight, just brute force, and as far as we can tell, he is probably the strongest dragon physically. However, he is still not as strong as a super full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And that's basically just a fancy way of saying Goku absorbing all of the energy from the other Saiyans, giving him more power than usual. However, he is smart enough to realize that he is about to be beaten and hides in the rubble to use probably his only real technique. He summons all of the other Dragon Balls to himself, eats them, and then turns into Omega Shenron. And this is basically a fusion power-up. As Omega Shenron, his appearance doesn't change too much. He becomes more muscular and gains more spikes. The spikes he has get longer, and all of the Dragon Balls appear in his chest. In this form, he is by far the greatest threat in the series, as well as up to that point ever in Dragon Ball. Not only is this a huge power-up, overwhelming the full power of Goku's immediately, but he has access to every ability used by the other dragons, amplified by his own natural strength. And on top of all of that, he then gains the ability to weaponize the negative energy, turning it into an attack. In this form, he is almost unbeatable. It literally took Vegeta and Goku fusing into SSJ4 Gogeta and hitting him with 2 Big Bang Kamehamehas. Unfortunately, before they could actually use the second one, the fusion timed out, but it would have killed him otherwise, and since that happened, Goku had to actually die and use a spirit bomb to defeat him. So you can overwhelm him with power and or a powerful enough attack made out of pure energy. Also, if you can manage to, you can force him to revert back to Sin Shenron by removing all the Dragon Balls from his body. How much that will help you, I don't know, since he is still the strongest dragon. Oh, and doesn't have to have all of the Dragon Balls to transform into his Omega form. He will just not be able to use that specific dragon's abilities, and maybe be a slightly bit weaker, but we really don't see that because he pretty much absorbs Nova back immediately. That is it. All of the Shadow Dragons, and let me know in the comments section down below which is your favorite dragon, or if there is one you would like a deeper dive on while you're down there, please remind me in the comments. Personally, I liked the Shadow Dragons. I didn't like how they were carried out personally within that series, but I thought the dragons were a really, really good villain and a really good concept, because the whole concept behind Dragon Ball is literally in the name, right? And that's just because they usually were hunting for the Dragon Balls. But we've moved so far past them having to find the Dragon Balls that, like, I feel like using the Shadow Dragons as like a bad guy and like the concept behind them is really awesome. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turn on that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.